Namaskar Satru Satrihokol. Welcome to E-Shiksha Assam. Myself Sonu Mohata Jhanwar. Today I am going to teach you about a very new and important chapter of maths, that is complex numbers. So let's start.
प्रथम क्वेश्चन जितु आमार माइंडत आहे हेतु होइसे व्हाट इज कम्प्लेक्स नम्बर्स की होय आगते आमी आमार आगर क्लासबोरत पढि आहिसु अबाउट रियल नम्बर्स राइट रियल नम्बर्स दुटा भागत भाग होइसे हेतु होइसे रेशनल नम्बर्स आरु इरेशनल नम्बर्स ए दुटा टर्म्स आमार नोन टर्म्स होय ठीक आछे So complex numbers इटे की होय complex numbers basically real numbers at a step forward होय ठीक आछे so complex number is basically a step ahead of real numbers आगते आमी negative numbers or square root उलियाबो नोवारिसिलु like square root of -41 square root of -25 आमी जी कोनो negative number or square root उलाबो नोवारिसिलु only positive numbers or square root to ami uliabo parisilu ठीक है so this chapter complex number is basically started from the definition of square root of negative numbers so complex number is started from the definition of square root of -1 defined by a non-real number or imaginary number I, whose complete name is iota, but we usually write it as I. Okay, so this is the main thing you have to remember in this chapter. Everything will start from this particular definition, which is square root of -1 is equal to I. Okay, which is an imaginary number, not a real number. So now it is possible to find the square root of a negative number. Okay, so eto gom palu je square root of -1 I hoy. So ite I square ki hobo? I square ami keneke uliam? I square mane -1 to ite we will multiply 2 times square root of -1, which is -1. Then I cube will be, we will split into 2 parts. Okay, I square is -1. We have already found out here, and this is I. So it is -I. Then I4. We will split again this I square, which is I square is what? -1. -1, which is 1. So now we have to remember these 4 important terms to understand much better the complex numbers. Okay, we have learned here is that square root of -1 is I squared is -1, I cubed is -I, and I4 is 1. So this concept is very important. You have to understand this thing. Okay, many questions for your exams will be based upon this. Okay, now let's find out the next 4 terms. I5, we will break it into I4 and I4 is 1, I is equal to I6, I4, then I2, I4 is 1, I square is -1, so it is -1. I7 is I4, I3, I4 is 1, I3 is -I, so it will be -I, then I8, I4, 1, that is 1. So what we basically observe here is that the value of I gets repeated after every 4 terms. You can see these 4 terms are getting repeated, so it will keep repeating again and again. So you have to remember and you have to understand this concept, how the value of I varies. So just remember these 4 terms, it's enough. Okay, now let's see. Suppose we are asked to find out the value of I-27. How will we find this? So what we will do here is, we will break the power 27. But how? We will break the power 27. We will take out the nearest multiple of 4 from it and then solve it. Why will take out the nearest multiple of 4? Because we see that the I4 is equal to 1. So we will take out the nearest multiple of 4 from it and then solve the rest. Okay, so the nearest multiple of 4 is 24. The rest is 3. So we will split this I24, I3. I24 we will write in this way. Okay, we will write in this way, in exponential form. So I4 is 1. 1 to the power 6. I cube is minus I. So what is this? 1 to the power 6. We all know that 1 to the power of any even number is always equal to this number. So this is 1. This is minus I, which is minus I. So see, the value of minus, the value of I to the power 27 is minus I. Okay, I have given you a detailed description of this. Okay, but in exam you can skip 1 or 2 lines from it, but only after you first understand what is how to find out the value of I-27. Okay, we can define what is complex number. Complex number is a combination of real number and a imaginary part. Real part, sorry, it should be a real part and an imaginary part. Okay, so let's first consider a complex number Z, in which X is the real part and IY is the imaginary part. Okay, this complex number is a combination of a real part defined by X and imaginary part defined by IY. Remember, these 2 parts cannot be added. Okay, because real part is completely different from the imaginary part. We cannot add these 2 parts. So students, don't get confused in this. Okay, this is a very important part you should not miss. So real part and imaginary part cannot be added together. Okay, now what we see, this is a X is a real part and IY is the imaginary part. Here you have to remember one more important thing apart from this, that this X and Y, they both are real numbers. Okay, this X and this Y, they both are real numbers, but IY is an imaginary part. Okay, this Y and this X are real numbers, but this, when it's come to IY, this is an imaginary part. Okay, so when we write complex numbers, so let's take an example. 2 plus 3i. Okay, here 2 is the real part and 3i is the imaginary part. Okay, but 2 and 3, they both are real numbers and they both should be real numbers. Okay, the definition of complex numbers goes well with the combination of real part and imaginary part, plus the X and Y, they both should be real numbers. Okay, so 2 and 3, they are real numbers. Okay. But this 3i is an imaginary part. So now, how to find a complex number, or how to write a complex number? We have to write the complex number in this form: z is equal to x plus iy. So let's see. The question is 4 a complex number? Yes. But how? We will write 4 in this form. Then you will come to know, yes, 4 is a complex number. How will write 4? Since 4 is a complex number, I told you x and y, they both are real numbers. So here this is only 4. This is our real number. So our x is 4 plus I. Since we don't have any imaginary part here, the value of y here is 0. And we all know that 0 is a real number. Okay. So we have written 4 in such a way that it is in the two parts, a real part and an imaginary part. So 4 is a complex number. Similarly, is 5i a complex number? Yes. How? Let's write in the same way. 5i, this is our complex number. We will write in two parts. What we see here, that 5 is multiplied by I. So this is our imaginary part. Okay. So since we don't have any real part here, so the value of x here is 0. And the rest is plus 5i. So we have written 5i in the real part and in imaginary part, where x and y, they both belongs to real number. Means 0, 5, they both belongs to real number. So this is a complex number, this is a complex number. Don't forget this part, that complex number is a combination of real part and an imaginary part, in which real part and imaginary part cannot be added together. And x and y, but x and y, they both are real numbers. Okay. Yes. So based on the previous concept, let's solve this. Find I37 plus I255 plus I968. So as I told you, to find the value of I to the power anything, we have to first take out the multiple of 4 and then solve the rest, nearest multiple of 4. Okay. And if it is a greater power, we will simply divide it by 4 to find out the nearest multiple. Okay. Now let's solve. So I to the power 37, the nearest multiple is 36. We can write it as I to the power 4, 9, that is 36. The only one remains, so it's I. Plus, now in this case 255 is a bigger number. So what we will do, we will simply divide it by 4 to find out the nearest multiple of 4. 4 6 are 24, 15, 4 3 are 12, 3. So 63 is the nearest multiple of 4 and 3 is the remaining part. So we will write I255 as I to the power 4, 63 and then I3. Okay. Now similarly 968 also, this power also we will find out the nearest multiple of 4, that is 4 2 are 8, 16, 4 4 is 16, 8 4 2 are 8. So what we see here, it is 968 is a complete multiple of 4. So in terms of 4, you can write it as 4 242. Okay. There is no remainder, so we will not write anything here. So I4, we know the value of I4 is 1. Again, the value of I3 is, what is the value of I3? That's minus I4 1 to the power 242. Now in this case, you always remember 1 to the power of anything is 1. Okay, so 1 to the power, whether it is odd, even, anything, it's 1. So 1 to the power 9 is 1, 1 to the power 63 is 1. Similarly this. So it's it's minus I and it's 1. So I minus I plus 1 is equal to 1. So our final result is 1. So based on these concepts, I hope you all get this very well. So based on these concepts, I request you to study a bit more and try to solve the questions from your textbooks, and let me know in case of any doubt or any query. You can comment in the comment box. Thank you.